sounds of any airport are similar, but some things you hear at other airports you won't hear in Denver.
Hi, I'm Christine Ohm, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security.
At least a half dozen airports across the country are now refusing to air this video from the Department of Homeland Security TSA checkpoints.
However, Democrats in Congress refuse to fund the federal government.
It's not airing in Denver because DIA doesn't have TVs at security that do anything other than display basic information without audio.
It's very partisan, and I think it violates the hatchet.
Well, people, we're back here again. I covered this story a lot last year. And under the Trump administration, I believe this has happened more than any other time. I didn't research, but I have that feel that this talk of government shutdown has happened more times under this administration than any other in a short period of time. Will this one be any different? I've got so much information that I've gathered since yesterday. Some of these, like TSA, FEMA, Secret Service, Coast Guard, they've got some emergency funds. So some can get through for another month or maybe a few months thereafter. They said ICE has a special allocation of funds available, and the airline traffic controllers won't be affected. But still, these are murky waters and a bad time. Let me explain. I said to you all yesterday that I believe that the sixth meeting of Benjamin Netanyahu was critical, that I believe it's telling, and that this would be the last before the big one. I just feel it in my spirit. I, like you, have been following this thing. And I'm looking over at the overall complexion of the United States and the world. 6 times Benjamin Netanyahu has been to the White House, I believe since February 4th of 2025. I believe Trump is playing good cop and negotiating in good faith, whereas Benjamin Netanyahu is like, look, they keep on building this thing and they have the possibility to take us out, that we got to make a move. We're going there. I didn't say I liked it, but we're going there. But when you put it all together, this is the last time, this is the worst time to have a government shutdown. And they're going away for like 10 days. That is, the politicians, unless they have an emergency session. Yesterday was Abraham Lincoln's birthday. And I think there was a lot of symbology in it. Being that Benjamin Netanyahu flew back, time is ticking. Many of you all commented. I hear that clock. I hear it loud and clear. Like Michael Jackson's tour that he never wind up doing, right? This is it, right? This is it. I'm gonna get into it a little bit more deeper, but I got a question for you guys. Do you think as America and the world is being faced with more and more issues, that we're literally dissolving, that these freedoms and these things that we wanted, just the basis of life, that is regression, that is, it's going into regression? that maybe the dark gods are being aggressive and showing more of themselves in this time. So as we're decreasing, they're increasing. This is what I've come up with, and I'm going to share that with you.
It's hard to believe it, but we are headed to the third government shutdown of Donald Trump's second term in office. These things used to be pretty rare. Now they are very common, and this one has to do with one agency in particular, the Department of Homeland Security, which encompasses a wide range of programs, everything from FEMA, like dealing with natural disasters, or TSA, like airline security. The Coast Guard falls under the Department of Homeland Security. But this fight has to deal with one issue in particular: immigration enforcement. Democrats are saying that they will not vote for a bill to fund the Department of Homeland Security unless serious changes are made to the way President Trump deploys ICE officers across the country. Among the demands they are making: forcing ICE officers to remove their masks, having them wear body cameras, changing how use of force policies are being employed. Also, judicial warrants, making those part of immigration enforcement actions. Republicans say some of these demands go too far, and the Speaker of the House told me that the White House has made some serious concessions.
When you have a goal and you strategize utilizing an image that looks just like you and I, it's easier to get riled up trying to figure out how come they just can't get along and get it done. They realize that. They have to sell you this pain. They literally have to sell you this pain. And why are we taking these baby steps of funding it for X amount of months, then we're right back at the same thing again? I know it's nerve-wracking. But why? I feel Matthew 24 coming into play where it talks about birth pains. You're going to have those moments where it's just, they're accelerating more and more, and they're coming more frequently. That's how I look at this government shutdown. It makes us vulnerable, people. Very vulnerable. Chuck Schumer, his response.
So as you all know, from day one I've said unless there are really strong, meaningful reforms to rein in ICE and stop the violence, there will not be Democratic votes to fund ICE and extend the awful status quo that now exists. Well, today Senate Democrats made that point absolutely clear. Today's strong vote was a shot across the bow to Republicans.
A shot across the bow. Listen.
Today's strong vote was a shot across the bow to Republicans.
A shot across the bow. A shot across the bow is an idiom meaning a warning to someone to stop, change their actions, or alter their course to avoid serious impending consequences. It signifies a non-lethal preliminary challenge designed to force compliance or signal that future actions will be more severe. Origin. The phrase originated in the 18th century naval warfare, where a ship would fire a cannonball across the front, the bow of another vessel to force it to stop or surrender without actually destroying it. Now I want to segue into something because before I did this, someone asked me about a tent. Tent placed in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. So yesterday, there was a white tent placed in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. And I thought about it. And let me tell you what I came up with. On August 14, 1945, Japan accepted the Allied surrender terms, with President Truman announcing the end of World War II to the American public. That same day, sparking global celebrations due to time zone differences. This is commemorated as V-Day, VJ Day in the US, while the formal surrender was signaled on 9/2/1945. Now, what does a white flag mean? A white flag or cloth used as symbolic or surrender, truce, or desire to parley. I've been saying to you guys that the Nancy Guthrie situation is tied into Trump. I believe that the white tent that's in front of her house is symbolic. You can go online, watch a YouTube video. I believe it's symbolic. They're going to tell you otherwise. But I'm telling you, they're conditioning us. It means surrender. It's nothing new. Welcome new subscribers, but I've been saying it for a while. We've always had a loosely knit world order. We've been taken over. A lot of folks don't like this truth. Don't think I like it. I've been preparing myself since the late 70s when God gave me a vision of America and this moment. We're in the moment. They got to tell us. That's why I believe God gave me this glorious gift of the 5 C's, of clues, codes, colors, to comprehension conclusion. Symbology, that's how they speak. Why wasn't it a blue tent? A brown tent? It was a white tent. We've surrendered, which means there is a big action coming. A WAR and an unaliving of someone. Then we'll surrender. And they'll surrender. Everybody will surrender to the one world system. We just showed you yesterday on Abraham Lincoln's birthday. How old would Abraham Lincoln be today? 217 years old. That would be August 5th. Interesting. I want to take my time and do this. I'll be done soon. I just want to, I'm seeing some things as I'm producing this thing. Okay, so let's go a little bit further. They have to justify the shutdown. They got to shake, rattle, and roll a little bit. This time it's ICE. I poked holes in their stories. They've had stories here in Chicago. They've had stories in Minnesota, like this one here, which I believe was fake. I don't believe she's gone. I just don't. They have to create these stories to sell you in the next step, the next phase, the next page of the chapter as they go toward their ultimate goal. And now they're telling you, we're not going to fund these areas. It makes us vulnerable. And just like they caused the October 7th, 2023 so-called invasion of Israel, they're going to cause worldwide catastrophe here. It's all play. They got gods to serve.
Senate Democrats blocked a measure to fund the Department of Homeland Security on Thursday as lawmakers remained locked in a standoff that could shut down the agency this Saturday. Many senators left town Thursday for a 10-day break after casting their final votes. Nearly all DHS workers will remain on the job during the shutdown, but many won't get paid until a funding bill is approved. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, a Republican, said after the vote that a shutdown appeared likely and that the people who are not going to be getting paychecks will pay the price. In the wake of two high-profile shootings in Minneapolis, Democrats are demanding reforms in immigration enforcement operation.
Like I said, they got to justify it. And that's what they're doing. They create these incidents, then they respond to them at our detriment or our peril. So government shutdown. I ran some numbers earlier, so that's what I'm doing right now. I want to show you what I came up with. So the first one, 4 months, 21 days. The first one is government shutdown, February 14th, 2026. July 4th, 2026 comes out to what? 4/21. Pope Francis died on April 21st, just like that. Understand what you're looking at. The next one, when you go back, February 14th, 2026 will be tomorrow. July 4th, 2025. July 4th, 2025 last year. Tomorrow, shutdown is effective. The difference is 7/13. Trump, they said, was hit in the ear in Butler, Pennsylvania on 7/13. How is it that it comes out to that? 7/13. 7/13. That's when Trump got hit in the ear, they said, in Butler, Pennsylvania. That much closer, they said he would have been gone. And then I take the same number and I put it with the 4th of July of this year, and it comes out to the Pope's death date. People, they got gods to serve. They're telling you, this ain't about no government shutdown. These are gods working behind the scene. You can believe it if you want. Just telling you how they roll. And thank you for the question, the person. Why the white tent in front of Guthrie's house? On 11/12 of 2025, that was our last government shutdown. 11/12. And tonight it's over with. The difference is 94. The 94th day of the year is April 4th. Barack Obama is the 44th president. Now, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, but it's not a traditional way of you thinking about it as lovers. It has a historical aspect with Greek gods and ancient Rome. The pagan roots, it is believed to have replaced this here, Lupercalia. Now let's get into that.
And then there is the Roman ritual known as Lupercalia, the wolf festival. This was described by Cicero as the oldest Roman ritual, inherited from an ancient period before civilization. Lupercalia was dedicated to the god Faunus, a deity of cattle and shepherds in the wild, uncultured places beyond the settled social space. In this rite, a dog and a goat were sacrificed, and their blood was wiped on the foreheads of adolescent boys. They consumed a feast and then ran naked around the base of the Palatine Hill, following the ancient border of the city, the liminal space between law and wildness. And of course, this was bound up with the founding myth of Rome itself. The Lupercal cave began was where Romulus and Remus were suckled by a she-wolf after being conceived by the god Mars and cast out into the wild by their elite.
Lupercalia, tomorrow. You think it's coincidence that tomorrow is this? Although we call it Valentine's Day, but the root of it is ancient Roman and Greek mythology. You think when they showed you these statues of humans sucking on the nipple of a beast and vice versa, that was just all art? It's the days of Noah, people. They just don't want you to know. Ever since I was young, I put this thing together. I was like, I ran into a few people who got it, and I hope you're getting it. God sealed off the East of Eden for a reason, and this is the reason. Not only so that the progression, I believe the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is AI, the progression of it. But it's also to stop them from bewitching, if you will, or transforming, or making their images and their beast, where they have the A-N-D. What is A-N-D backwards? They're making the A-N-D. They did it in all cultures back in the day. It wasn't just sculptures and things. They was mixing the A-N-D. A-N-D backwards is what? They was mixing it. And these were gods, and they worshiped them. I believe as we digress, they're increasing, and they're showing themselves. And the numbers show that the progression of them is here. So when they have a government lockdown, it ain't got nothing to do with government lockdown. They're responding to the gods that they serve, and the dates point to the historical significance. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Think you know Roman mythology? These 5 secrets will blow your mind. Fact number 1, Janus dual faces. Janus, the god of beginnings, had 2 faces. He could look into the future and the past simultaneously. Fact number 2, Vulcan's underworld forge. Vulcan, the god of fire, crafted weapons for gods in his forge beneath Mount Etna, surrounded by Cyclops. Fact number 3, the mysterious Faunus. Faunus, often confused with the Greek Pan, was a Roman forest god who spoke prophecies through the sounds of the woods. Fact number...
That's who they are, people. These are demons. God said, I have no other God before me. But look at what they're doing.
about Faunus in Roman mythology. Now, Faunus was the Roman god of woodlands, forests, fields, and herds, often depicted as a half-man, half-goat. He was a rustic deity who was associated with fruitfulness, shepherds, and huntsmen. In Roman mythology, Faunus was identified as the Greek god Pan. He was associated with forests, plains, fields, and the fertility of the land and the herds. Depicted as a horned god, typically half-man, half-goat, sometimes wearing a goatskin over his shoulders. He was the son of Saturn and the father of Latinus, the legendary king of the Latins. He was celebrated in the country during the Faunalia Rustica festival in December. The term faun referred to a class of mischievous spirits of the countryside who were believed to have been lower versions of the god.
Lower versions of God. When God said, I have no other God before them. They've been doing this crap for centuries, and now they're back.
The Romans were so in awe of Greek culture that they simply identified Greek deities with their own and adopted their stories. As herding had been the original economy of Rome itself, which had started as a Hicksville hillbilly village, they had their own goat god who protected herdsmen, Faunus. His special job was to keep the herds and flocks fertile. So Faunus got mixed up with Pan, and a kind of subclass of godlings was formed, of half-human, half-goat figures, serving the twin gods, known in Greek as Pans, and
Half-human, half-goat, twin gods, twin towers, 2 ships crashing 2 days ago, the twins. All the signs are there. I pray you understand. Get right, stay right, get ready for the flight. These gods are showing more and more. At some point, we're going to see them face to face, as if we haven't already.